When we last left this story, Videl had convinced Gohan to allow her to train with him and Trunks as well as fight the androids, by picking a fight with him. Since then, all three of them had benefited greatly from training with each other. Each of them had improved significantly. Videl, being human, certainly wasn't a match for Gohan or Trunks, but she was strong enough that they couldn't get careless around her. Trunks had shown flashes of Super Saiyan, and Gohan was sure he was close, but he wasn't quite there yet. Videl had a few opportunities to practice the techniques she'd learned from Roshi, even managing to beat Trunks in a sparring match when she caught him off guard with the Thunder Shock surprise. Gohan had more or less mastered fighting one-handed. It wasn't that he didn't miss his arm, but he was stronger than he was before. Still not a match for the androids, but he was sure they'd surpass even them given enough time. Time, however, was a luxury they couldn't afford, as Pepper Town would come under attack by the androids. Gohan looked to Trunks and Videl and felt conflicted. On one hand, he had promised Videl he'd let them fight, but on the other, they'd probably get themselves killed. Videl could tell what he was considering almost straight away and was immediately guarded, but Trunks didn't seem to catch on just yet. "Oh no, you aren't leaving us here, you'll get yourself killed." "No, I can beat them this time, I'm sure of it." He was lying, and these two both saw through it. "No you can't, you need us." Now Trunks was firmly on Videl's side. Gohan didn't have time to argue, and he couldn't knock both of them out at the same time one-handed. He had to make a call. "Fine, both of you follow me, but lay low, stay hidden until it looks like I need you." Despite both of them nodding in agreement, he doubted their word. Still, the three of them took off towards Pepper Town and arrived just as the androids had gotten bored. "Gohan, you're still alive?" 17 seemed a little surprised. "Well, mostly," 18 jabbed. "But what happened to your little girlfriend and that kid?" "I don't need those two to handle you." Gohan powered up to Super Saiyan, getting ready to fight. He would be blindsided, however, by a punch from 18. This was harder than she'd ever hit him. The attack sent him crashing through a huge building and completely winded him. What was that? He could usually handle attacks better than that. Whoa, sis, almost took his head off there. "I don't care. I'm bored of him. Let's just kill him this time." "If you say so." "Hey Gohan, wanna hear something fun? For our past fights, we've been using about half of our full power." "Yep, and you still couldn't beat us. This time, we're not holding back, so you're gonna die." Gohan's mind was racing. That couldn't be true, surely. They weren't even close? Trunks and Videl would race to his aid, but both were easily swatted aside by the androids. They didn't even hit them that hard, and the two of them were barely alive. Ah, so these two are alive. 18 would grab Videl by the hair, pulling her up. At the same time, 17 would grab Trunks by the throat. "So, which of them do you want us to kill first? Your pupil or your girlfriend?" The two androids looked over to Gohan, awaiting his answer. They'd make him choose, which meant 18 didn't see Videl charging one of the techniques Roshi taught her. "If you won't choose, we can just kill them both." 18 was cut off as a searing pain ran through her body. It felt like she was being electrocuted from the inside out. And then nothing. She let go and Videl collapsed to the ground. She wasn't dead, but the sudden surge of electricity had shut down her system and she'd need a day to reboot. 17 would toss Trunks to the ground and head towards 18, though Videl would fly out the way just in time. "18! What did you do?" He would turn to Videl and Gohan expecting answers, but they were gone. They hadn't left, they were just hiding. He'd attempt to locate Trunks, but he too was out of sight. He just wanted to destroy this entire city and take them out with it, but if he did that, he'd probably take out his sister as well. "Damn humans!" The android cursed, destroying a nearby building in temper before picking up his sister and flying away for the time being. She was still alive, but they'd lost this one. That was a first. Trunks would find Gohan and Videl. They were both more or less okay, nothing bed rest wouldn't fix, but if what the androids said were true, then they weren't even close to being strong enough to beat them, and Videl wouldn't catch them off guard like that a second time. For now, they'd retreat to Capsule Corp to lick their wounds, and this is where the idea of the time machine comes up for the first time. Bulma seemed certain she could make it work, which gave Gohan, Videl, and Trunks a reason to be optimistic again. The next time they saw the androids, 18 was back online, and she was furious Videl had gotten the better of her. Gohan had managed to get Videl to agree not to try and fight 18 after promising to let her come to the past with him. The time machine could probably fit 3 people, 4 at a push, but it was decided that the first people to go to the past would be Gohan and Videl. Since they both already existed in the past, there was no risk of accidentally causing themselves not to be born. Thankfully, the time machine was completed without any major incidents. It had been a few months since the attack at Pepper Town, and in that time Trunks had finally managed to become a Super Saiyan, after becoming angry at himself because he couldn't do it, just like his father. So when the time came, Bulma would hand Gohan the medicine for the heart virus, and Gohan and Videl would set off for the past in the time machine. As they arrived, Videl would sense some unfamiliar energy approaching Earth. It felt far more sinister than what she was used to. Who's that? That'll be Frieza and his father. My father should show up before long to stop them, although I think a show of strength might make us look more convincing. With that, the two set off to intercept Frieza and Cold. Videl could tell just by sensing them that Gohan wouldn't have any trouble with these two. Frieza looked upon the pair with uncertainty. The girl he definitely didn't recognize, but the man she was with seemed somewhat familiar, but he couldn't place it. Judging from the way you dress, I assume you're affiliated in some way with the Saiyan named Goku. I know this is our first meeting, but any ally of his is an enemy of mine. Without another word, Frieza would attempt to fire a death beam towards Gohan, who easily blocked it with his palm. I am an associate of Goku, but you're wrong. You have seen me before. About 17 years ago. For Gohan it had been 17 years, for Frieza more like a year and a half. If we've met, I'm afraid I don't remember. Perhaps you didn't leave much of an impression. Though strength like yours is worth remarking on. Not many can block my attacks. And I'd wager your friend there can't! Frieza fired again, this time at Videl, who was able to block the death beam, but not as easily as Gohan. She had to use both arms, and honestly her forearms felt a little numb afterwards. But she still did it. I'll give you an opportunity to leave this planet alive. Gohan would transform into a Super Saiyan to try and intimidate them, though you don't deserve it. This didn't work, of course, as Frieza would rush to attack Gohan while his soldiers would attempt to fight Videl. Videl ducked to the side as one of the Frieza Force fired a beam of energy towards her before felling him with a single punch. It felt good to win for once. She could only imagine how cathartic this was for Gohan. Gohan grabbed Frieza by the tail before flying downwards and slamming the tyrant face first into the dirt. Frieza would attempt to get up, only to be sent flying by a kick from Gohan. Cold watched this, looking as disinterested as ever. Even as Videl finished off the last of his troops, he didn't make a move to attack her. He needn't waste his time fighting a human. If Frieza lost, he'd step in, but for now, he didn't care. It wouldn't take long for Frieza to lose, as Gohan decided to finish him off with a one-handed Kamehameha. Frieza would do his best to block it, but to no avail, and the attack reduced him to dust. King Cold didn't fancy his chances against one who could dispatch Frieza so easily. But equally, he was hardly going to allow this insult to his family to stand. He just had to find a way to win, by any means. And if anyone asked, he'd just lie about beating them easily. He grabbed Videl, which halted Gohan's advances. I wonder if I should kill this girl in exchange for my son. He turned to face Videl, who was making a variety of strange gestures with her hands, and for some reason he couldn't keep his eyes off them. You are so tired. What? It's difficult just to keep your eyes open. Cold actually felt himself get a little drowsy. Drowsy enough to drop his guard anyway, and as he did, Videl would slip out of his grip and knee him in the face, before snapping off the majority of one of his horns. Cold doubled over in pain before an energy beam pierced through his chest, this time from Gohan. No wait, I'll leave Earth. You'll never have to see me again. Just mercy, please. Videl and Gohan didn't answer, as both of them began to charge a Kamehameha. Cold's pleas went unheard, and the former Emperor of Universe 7 was sent to the next world. Understandably, the Z-fighters of the past were left stunned by what they'd just seen. These two had beaten two enemies who had seemed undefeatable as if they were minor threats. Gohan would wave at them before explaining they were here to see Goku in a little while. Gohan and Videl both had agreed to keep conversation brief, they couldn't reveal too much about themselves. But it became difficult since Bulma, Krillin and Yamcha all recognized that technique Videl had used against King Cold. They'd all seen Roshi use it against Goku in that tournament years ago. That technique you used on the big guy, where'd you pick that up? Krillin asked. Did you learn it from Master Roshi? Yamcha butted in. No, but you couldn't have. We'd have met you, and you're too young to have trained with him before us. Videl had to think of a lie. No, I didn't train with Roshi. I was trained by my friend over there. I just studied the people who competed in the old tournaments as well. Gohan did train her initially, but that second bit was a complete lie. Well, that makes sense. No way that old creeper could teach a girl without scaring her off, Bulma scoffed. Videl couldn't really argue. Roshi had been on his best behavior, and he'd still made the occasional comment she'd had to ignore. Well, your friend there did a great job training you. I've never met a human as powerful as you are. Piccolo spoke up for the first time since meeting the pair. The man with one arm, his energy felt so familiar, and Piccolo had an idea who he was, but surely that shouldn't be possible. If he was right, then that just raised more questions. Well, thanks Piccolo, but I don't think I could have beaten Cold without my friend's help. But it's like my teacher said, we humans have got to be quick and clever. Krillin and Yamcha, prior to this, had more or less given up on ever competing with Goku again, but seeing this girl like this, they were getting fired up again. She wouldn't give up, so they wouldn't either. They'd probably never be stronger than him, but so what? Since when was strength the only way to win a fight? Videl would occasionally look over to the younger Gohan, but she didn't trust herself to talk to him without revealing too much about who they were. Eventually, Goku would arrive just as they'd said, and the two strangers asked if they could speak with him for a moment. Goku and Gohan had a quick sparring match just to test his strength. "You're as strong as I remember. We've met before?" His mind was racing, he had no idea what to say. He hadn't seen his father in years, but he had to focus on what he was here for. "First things first, my name is Gohan, and this is Videl." "Oh, cool! My son's named Gohan as well. So is my grandpa. Guess it's a pretty common name. Nice to meet you, and you too, Videl." Gohan and Videl were both silent for a moment. Gohan sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose before explaining properly. "No, I'm your son, Gohan, from the future." Goku's eyes widened. "What happened to your arm?" "That's part of why we're here," Videl interjected. 3 years from now, 2 androids will appear, both several times stronger than Frieza, and they kill everyone, save for Gohan. "That's strong, huh? Guess it makes sense they'd beat me." "Dad, I'm afraid you don't make it to the battle. You die of a heart virus before the androids appear." That sucked. A fight he could prepare for, but a sickness? What was he supposed to do? "That's why the Bulmer of our time made this. It's a cure for the virus. Take that, and you'll be fine." "So you lost your arm protecting me and Trunks from the androids," Videl answered before covering her mouth. "Who's Trunks?" Never mind. If he's important, I'll find out. So all we gotta do is train hard for the next 3 years and then bop those bots when they appear, right?" Gohan would give Goku more specific details, like when and where they'd show up, before Gohan and Videl took their leave. "We'll be back to help you when the time comes." One last thing. Goku pulled Gohan into a hug. "Taking on all that responsibility can't have been easy. I'm proud of you, son." Gohan felt himself getting a little emotional before he turned away. Unbeknownst to him, Piccolo had heard that entire conversation, and his suspicions had been confirmed. Goku and Piccolo, mostly Piccolo, would fill the rest of the fighters in, while Gohan and Videl headed back to the future. "You used to be so cute, Gohan. Now you're all serious and grumpy." "Shut up." Gohan appreciated it, though. He knew she was only teasing him to try and lighten the mood. He just busied himself programming the machine to head back to their time. Right then, that's where I'll stop for now. As I write this, I realize that my other what-if concerning Topple is also entering the Android saga. But I'm sure I can keep them from being too similar. Anyway, as always, comments and feedback are appreciated, and be sure to subscribe if you like this sort of content. That's all for now. Bye.